Good morning, everyone. I would like to begin our global series number 8. Thank you for joining our Cambodia real estate today. My name is Alex Lee from KW Executive and your Global Business Council Chair. I would like to thank you, our Global Business Council Co-Vice Chair, Pauline Lam and Shan Yang, Mindy Yi, our 2020 President, and Yimber, 2020 immediate past chair of the NAR Global Advisory Board, and 2020 vice chair of CAR Global Real Estate Forum. And a big thank you to all of you make this virtual meeting possible. Welcome, everyone. Before we start, all participants will be muted. Should you have a question or a comment, please enter it into the chat box. Shan Yang, GBC Co-Vice Chair, will read your question during the Q&A section of the meeting. Please stay until the end of the session for a chance to win gift cards. These gift cards are sponsored by Loan Direct, Joe Lam, and Teresa Nguyen. Now, let's move to Teresa Nguyen, our GBC member, to introduce today's speaker.
Thank you, Alex. Today, we are glad to invite our special speaker, Lieu Nguyen, to update us on Cambodia. Lieu Nguyen, in her second term as NAR Global Ambassador to Cambodia, Indonesia, and Vietnam. She was the former NAR President Liaison to Vietnam for 2 terms. Lieu was working in Southeast Asia for almost 10 years, based in Vietnam from 1996 to 2005. Responsible for Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, and Myanmar in logistics. Let's welcome Ms. Lieu Nguyen.
Thank you, Teresa, for the introduction. Hello, everyone. That's a formal way of saying hello in Khmer, which is the formal language in the Kingdom of Cambodia. In recent days, all of us, we hear so much more and more about Cambodia as the country is opening its doors to welcome tourists and investments. And the reason we gather today to discover one of the last frontiers of Southeast Asia for investment. All of you who knows me, I love quotes. So I love this quote from Warren Buffett. It says, he said, "Someone's sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree a long time ago." So to me, this means to reap rewards down the road, we need to have long-term outlooks, vision, planning ahead to get what we want, whether it's in our lives, in our career, our investments, or anything for that matter. So today, we are going to discover and learn more about Cambodia, as it is the up and coming destination for real estate investment. And I would say that at least for the next decade. So with that said, let's get started. So why Cambodia? A country of 15 million in population, about half the size of Germany, and it's probably about a little bit smaller than the size of Oklahoma here in the US. And with that, we look at these factors, why Cambodia? They have very strong GDP. The growth rate averages about 7.5%, and that's from 1994 through 2019. You know, that's about a 25-year span, and a constant growth for Cambodia. Their land prices continue to be on the rise, and their laws, new laws had allow free foreign property ownership. So as foreigners, we can own property in Cambodia. And their economy is US dollars, so you don't have to worry about the conversion rate. And then the political stability is quite stable now, and it is the last frontier market. And most of you already know with last frontier market, you know, obviously there's risk that comes with that, but just like in any type of investment, you know, the more risk you're willing to take, if you have an appetite for it, the higher return on investment. You know, Cambodia has not suffered a single year of recession in the last 20 years. We experienced in the Far East, we had the Asian financial crisis in the late 90s. That didn't affect Cambodia much. You know, we had the tech bubble in the early 2000s. That didn't impact them. And then of course they outgrew the 2008 financial crisis. So why is that? And as you will see that Cambodia, but also the emerging markets, most of them, their economy as a whole relies on many internal factors. And for Cambodia, it's like urbanization rates, population growth, more so than the whims of the global economy. But down the road, as they open up to the global economy, obviously, everything that's going on in the world definitely will impact them as well, but not yet. So if you visit Phnom Penh recently, they have a rising class in the middle class. And it's very obvious, very apparent, regardless wherever you travel in Cambodia. And just like many emerging markets, they're less correlate with the global economy. And then for Cambodia, the foreign investment activities grew 800% over the past decade. You know, you have these large companies like Samsung, like Nike, like Toyota, and more are setting up operations in Phnom Penh. And manufacturing is growing at an impressive growth rate. And a lot of that is due to the low labor costs that's in Cambodia compared to China. And because of all these growth, more expats, these companies are hiring more expats. And so more expats are coming and working in Phnom Penh. So today there is a huge shortage of expat housing. And that creates additional opportunities for the Cambodian real estate market. In April 2010, the government passed a legislation, Cambodia Foreign Ownership Property Law, allows foreigners to buy and own real estate. And similar to the other Southeast Asian countries, other parts of the world, where foreigners can only allow to own first floor and all the higher floors in condos versus the ground floor or basements, or in detached homes where you have part of the house attached to the ground, to the land, then that's not allowed. So this is very similar with the other Asian countries. And also they only allow, as a foreigner, that we can only invest maximum up to 70% of any one apartment building. And one of the other conditions that they put out is that the building has to have the strata title, and which generally applies to new condominium buildings. I will talk more about the titles, different types of titles later when we go over to the section on titles. And with that said, you know, the Article 44 of the Cambodia's Constitution, it indicates that foreigners cannot own land. But then, according to Article 16 in their amended law investment, it says persons with Cambodian citizenship or Cambodian entities that have legal rights to own land. So simple as that. If you have a Cambodian citizenship or entities, you have the legal right to own land. So that means you and I as foreigners, we can establish control land in several ways. So how are we going to do that? To establish control land in Cambodia, there's 4 ways. Through a local Cambodian company, that means you would go there and you would start up a Cambodian company with a partner, or you can set up, find a local partner and set up a leasehold agreement with them, or you can obtain Cambodian citizenship. And then with the help of a Cambodian nominee. So as realtors, as advisors, as investors, we all need to understand these options so that we can make sure, you know, we evaluate, we make the informed decisions, and then we make the right assessment for our clients. So I'm going to go through the first step. It's land can be bought through a local company. So if you set up a company, a Cambodian company, then you can buy land, because earlier, as I said, the law indicated that we can't, as foreigners, we can't buy land. Anything that touched land, we cannot own as foreigners. But if we set up a Cambodian company with a local company, then as foreigners, we can buy land. So as foreigners, when you partner up in these type of setup, we can own up to 49% share. The partner has to be at least 51% share. So as a minority shareholder, foreigners control ownership by using contractual agreements. Landholding company often registers mortgages on the land, and then they would lease the land to the foreign investor. So, which means the land cannot be transferred unless, as a foreign investor, we consent for that to happen. So that's an additional layer of security for foreign investor, because a lot of times if you, depending on the partner that you have there, they can go behind your back and one day they can just sell the land, then you would not be able to stop that. So there's several ways that that you can do that to protect yourself. And this is one of it that it's an additional layer of security for foreign investors. So I would say this setup here is, although not 100% bulletproof, but it offers the least risk to the foreign investors. Okay, the main risk is the Cambodian partner. Again, as foreigners, foreign investor, we can be a person or a legal entity. And so when we invest, we partner up with these local company, we need to select our partner wisely. The second option that you can do is take control of land through a lease. So long-term leases are another common way for foreigners to control land in Cambodia. And so the leasehold period is between 15 to 50 years. And sometimes you can see it in 70 years or even 99 years. And these leases that are longer than 15 years, they have to be registered with the land office, and they can be extended up to 15 years. I mean, at this point, they have not experienced this yet, but they would think that you would pay a certain fee to do that extension when the time comes. So if the state owns the land, then the maximum leasehold period is only 40 years, not the 50 years. Okay, maximum is 40 years. And so, you need to make sure you check the title before you enter into any type of leasehold agreement. You got to conduct the title search. And these title includes the rights to control the property, your rights to sell or to lease, and whether or not there are encumbrances or mortgages on these properties. So it's very similar as here in the US. And this is, to me, is where use of local expertise of great, this can be of great value to you. Use a local attorney to help you draft the agreements to make sure that your leasehold agreement is tight, and then use the local real estate practitioner. Don't try to do this alone, because, and I have to say that Cambodia, our partner, NAR's partner there is CVEA, and they are so good about setting up classes. And so today they have about 65 CIPS designees, and they are also international realtor members. So with that said, they understand the expectations from our part, what we're looking for. And so we kind of talk the same language, and it helps through that process much easier. So don't try to do this alone. Work with the attorney and the local real estate practitioner. So buying land by obtaining Cambodian citizenship is like the third way for you to establish land control in Cambodia. And this requirements is that you have to live in Cambodia a minimum of 7 years. You have to show full proficient in Khmer. You got to be able to speak it fluently, and you have to make a significant investment or donation to Cambodia. And then the Ministry of the Interior, the Council of Ministers, and also the President of Cambodia all have to approve on these applications for citizenship. So of course the government encourages this option. However, many of investors, they think that this is the least attractive because it's most difficult, most time consuming, and could be pricey as well, costly as well. So the fourth option you can do this is buying land through nominee structure. If you don't like to incorporate and form a real estate holding company, the structure number 1 that I mentioned earlier, then your other option is to find a local nominee to hold the property on your behalf, and then you can bind him or her with contracts. And then in this process, foreign investors sign trust agreement with a Cambodian citizen, and then he or she would give you the right to control the land. And then the landowner that you sign the agreement with, they would have mortgage on the land, and then they would lease that land to you. And then this is where you will need to work with a real estate attorney to draft up nominee security agreements to show rights to control land, to minimize your risk and minimize the risk that the nominee sells or transfer or lease the land to another person. So buying land through a nominee structure is a common option among foreign buyers because it's simple and because it's cheap. But the nominee structure ignores the Constitution prohibition on direct owner of property by foreigners and makes it illegal and strongly discouraged, because there's a lot of risk that's involved to this, because it is considered as illegal in Cambodia. So the risk involved here would be expropriation by the state. That means the state will confiscate your land. They would force you to sell it, or the nominee might just disappear, or they might just claim full ownership of the land and kick you out. So that leads us up to the next topic, talking about titles. It is very important that you understand the different type of titles available today in Cambodia. There are 4 types of titles. They have the soft titles, they have the hard titles, they have the LMAP titles, and they also have the co-own or strata titles. So we're going to talk about soft titles first. The majority of properties in Cambodia is legally held under soft titles. It's widely preferred and most commonly used. There are about 70% of soft titles in the urban areas and 82% in the rural areas. And these soft titles are recognized and recorded at the local level, not at the national level. So only the local government would recognize this title that you have registered. So property held under soft title, they registered at the local Senkat or the district level. And then purchases of properties with soft titles, transfer process will be quicker and easier, which is the reason why many foreigners prefer this route. And because the administration of these titles is managed by the local authorities, so they can control more of that process. And so, and it takes usually about 10 working days, and the cost is a whole lot cheaper than if you have to go through registering it at the national level. But it's generally not available for foreigners. An actual soft title can take a variety of form, such as it can be a letter of transfer from the previous owner stamped by the Sankat or the district office locally. It could be a possession status certificate from the local land office, or it could even be a building application. So as you can see, it's quite informal. Soft title due diligence. If you're buying a property that has soft titles, you have to do your due diligence. And I mean, you have to do for all of them, but for soft titles, you need to check with the lands office public record to find out who holds the soft title to the property. Okay, talk to the neighbors to find out who the actual owners are or is. Check on the claims on the property, you know, for encumbrances. Are there mortgages on this property? Anything that you need to know about this property that you might have liabilities once you make that purchase. And then check properties boundaries, because there may be overlap. This is one of those areas where a lot of arguments is over this, a lot of lawsuits is over this. And if you don't check the boundaries, good luck, because if you're going to take a Cambodian to court, your chance is very slim to get hurt. So make sure you do your due diligence before you proceed forward. So let's look at some of the pros and cons for the soft titles. So some of the pros is that most properties available under soft titles, and like I said earlier, like 70 or 82% are available, homes that are available under soft titles. So with that said, it gives you more options, more selections. You have a huger pool to select your investment from. They are often used because they can avoid the 4% ownership transfer taxes and some of the other local fees. And again, the processing time is much faster. It's 10 days versus a couple months, and the low cost, of course. And then from a soft titles, you can always convert that to a hard title at any time. If there is a need for you to do that, you can request for that. So that's some of the pros. And then some of the cons for soft titles is that it's not registered at the national level. It provides less information about the property and its history. And you cannot use soft titles to secure financing. So with that said, you know that a lot of these buy and sell properties in Cambodia are in cash. Still a lot of that is being done in cash today. And so going with a soft title, there is that risk of boundary overlap. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about the hard titles, right? Hard titles is probably the strongest and most secure form of land ownership in Cambodia. The title is issued by the cadastral office, and it's recognized at the national ministerial level, at the Sangkat and the district levels, and it's visible to everyone. So no one can, if you hold a hard title, no one can come and claim it because it's been recognized by the national level. And it's registered at the Ministry of Land Management, Urban Planning, and Construction. And again, that is at the national level. And again, its registration should be the only evidence required of an indefeasible title, but not available for foreigners. So let's look at the pros and cons of hard titles. Some of the pros for the hard titles is that it's registered at the national level. The ownership is indisputable. You have a full history of the property information, and you can also use it to secure financing, whereas the soft title, you cannot do that. What are some of the not so good things about hard titles? So fewer properties available. If you have 4 different types of titles and already 70 or 82% are taking in the form of soft titles, and there's not that many left for hard title. So it means your pool of inventory to select your investment from is not a whole lot. So you have a very few properties available. And the process takes much longer. Usually it's like 12 weeks, 12 weeks. And you have to pay a 4% transfer tax on property value, okay? And the valuation done by official from the cadastral office. But when the 4% transfer tax is very interesting, although you know, in everything it says that you have to pay 4% transfer tax, but in reality, in practice, usually they only pay 1.5% to 2%. And that's pretty much the norm in Cambodia today, okay? The other title is the LMAP, and LMAP stands for Land Management and Administration Project title. Back in 2002, the World Bank and other supporting countries initiated to help to implement a systematic registration of property. And so with that, it helped to implement a systematic registration system and improve the quality of the information in land. And this is something that many of the countries don't have it yet, but Cambodia does have the support from the World Bank and some of these other countries. And so it helps give the the record on a piece of property on land, more details on that property. So with that process, LMAP title is recognized at the Ministry of Land Management, Urban Planning and Construction at the national level, and HERT titles with geotech points, GPS coordinates clearly identify the property's boundaries. Right, so you're just like here when you go to the zoning department, you see the same thing. You can look, they give you these maps that you can locate it, and then LMAP title transfer process takes about 12 weeks, and again the transfer cost is 4% of the property value, and the value is determined by the cadastral official. So now let's spend a little bit of time on the strata titles. So strata titles is also known as the private ownership in co-owned buildings. Co-owned buildings are sort of like condominiums here, right? And so this is the latest form of ownership in Cambodia, as it allows foreigners to legally own properties in Cambodia. And I think it was May 24, 2010, the law on foreign ownership came out, and the law limits foreign ownership to co-owned buildings, which are condos. And then it is still today unconstitutional for foreigners to own land. But just like the other Southeast Asian countries that you can own airspace, you can own condos, but not on the ground touching level or the basement. Strata titles is less common land title, but the numbers are growing fast because that is one of the newest title. And as most new condo projects offer this type of title, we're going to see many, many more condominiums are being built throughout Phnom Penh and other major cities, and it's going to take in the form of strata titles. And this title is recognized by the Ministry of Land Management, Urban Planning Construction at the national level. And again, the transfer process is like 12 weeks. I think it just repeat that. And it transfer process is 12 weeks. The cost is 4% of the property's value. And again, the value is determined by cadastral official. Strata titles properties criteria, the requirements are the building has to be built from 2010 and later. Foreign ownership is limited to 70% of the total size of all units in the condo building. And then you can't own, the ground floor or the basement, and you can't within 30 kilometers of any land borders. Okay. Wow, I didn't realize this is gonna go through so fast. Next one, please. Next slide. So in closing, the Kingdom of Cambodia as a nation once scared by the atrocities of the Khmer Rouge with the genocides that millions of human lives were executed. That was back in 75 through 79. But today, Cambodia has opening its doors to the world and leaping forward. So Cambodia's best days are ahead. And, we hope that we planted a seed today and hope that you will explore opportunities in Cambodia and reap rewards in the years ahead. And hopefully that one day you will be that someone sitting under the shade because today we planted the seed. And with that said, I leave you with the last quote and from William Arthur Ward. And it says, opportunities are like sunrises. If you wait too long, you will miss them. So don't wait because you're going to miss the boat. So with that said, Arkun, thank you. I want to leave a little bit of time at the end for us to have the Q&A because I think yesterday we did have somebody who had some inquiries regarding to purchasing real estate in Cambodia. So we want to allow the opportunity for that Q&A so we can start.
Okay. Thank you, Liu, for a wonderful presentation. We are now ready for the Q&A session. This session will be moderated by Shan Zong, our Global Council Co-Vice Chair. Shan, you have the floor.
Thank you, Teresa, and thank you, Lieu, for another great presentation and with all the details. We do have several interesting questions. Now, you talked about the leasehold agreement. What are some of the ways that we can protect ourselves? Do you think we should choose to set up a leasehold agreement, or what are the suggestions?
Well, there are the 4 different types. You can choose those, but when your question about the leasehold is that just like anything else, you have to do your due diligence. You know, like I said, do a background check on the owner, talk to the neighbors. You can work with an attorney to add a clause in the leasehold agreement. As a leasee, you must agree to any sales of the property. So that would stop the landowner to go behind your back and want to make a sell, okay? Another thing you can also do is register a block sale notice at the land office, instructing that office not to sell the land without the lease owner's permission. Without your permission, that the landowner will not be able to sell that. So these are some of the few things that you can do to better protect yourselves. And again, I highly recommend you to work with the local experts, with real estate agents, with real estate attorneys. As I mentioned earlier, we have 65 international realtor members in Cambodia. And you know, the CVEA is a partner of NAR, and they've been so good. They've been, you know, sign up for all of the classes, most of the classes that we have here, that the designations, and they continue to sign up for more. So if you needed to get connected with somebody there, then we definitely can help you to connect to them. And the good thing is most of them speak English. Very good. So it helps the process so much more.
Thank you. Yeah, it's such a big investment. You definitely want to take the advice from Lieu that talk to the local experts or someone, attorney that protects your assets.
Earlier, you had mentioned, you know, what's my suggestion on which option, alternative to use? I would think that, you know, the working with partner up with a local Cambodian company, probably the safest route that we can do, because we can't have the hard titles, right? So the way for us to do that, to control the land, is, you know, partner up with a Cambodian company, set up a company where you are the minority shareholder. And, you know, but again, that's when, even at 49% or less, you need to make sure that the attorney drafts terms and stuff in your agreement so that you are fully protected. It's always better do that at the front end and do your due diligence versus, you know, just blindly sign a flimsy agreement and not protecting yourself, and then, you know, hoping that at the end, if something happens, that you can take them to court. It's very tough, because just like in any country that you go to, usually the local citizens are protected. And when you go to emerging markets, you know, for example, like Cambodia, your chance to be hurt is probably very, very slim. So make sure you do all of your due diligence at the front end.
Great, thank you. Now, the other question, can you buy real estate in Cambodia with RMB, the renminbi?
Oh, the Chinese renminbi?
Right.
Yeah. Yes. That was one of the questions that came up yesterday. Yes, you can buy real estate. Usually the market in Cambodia, the preferred currency is US currency. However, a lot of these developers, because a lot of Chinese invest in Cambodia today, and so Cambodian developers or the developers there make it very easy for investor to come in. So, and right now, Chinese is the top investors in Cambodia. I mean, if you go to Sihanoukville, it's all Chinese investors there. All of these high rises by the beach resorts, everything owned by the Chinese. I mean, it seems like you're like in China almost. And so a lot of the developers, what they do is they know that there's a lot of investment coming in from China. So they do allow for you to pay in renminbi. So if you, I think the case somebody had asked was that, you know, if you're from China, can you transfer that money to Cambodia to pay for, you know, if you purchase into real estate? Yes, you can do that. Or they even make it easier for you. They have a bank in China that you can use your wire transfer from your bank account in China to their bank account in China to make it really easy. So, but a lot of it depends on the developers. So you have to work with each one for the specific requirement. But most of them, yes, you can.
It's good. Good. For that, Dow Alderman, sorry if I mispronounced your last name. He's asking, so the company must be owned by at least one Cambodian citizen in that case?
Yes, yes, yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, as long as you have a Cambodian citizen, then the company can, you can create a company as long as they have the more share than you do.
Okay, great.
However, up to 49%, not more than 49%.
No more than 49%, okay. And she also has a question, is Thailand ownership similar to Cambodia?
It is. A lot of this is very similar to each other, but I don't know the market in Thailand as well, but the regulations in Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, very, very similar. They all learn from each other. And, with the ASEAN, they share information with each other. So you kind of see the trend in those countries very similar, with slightly different. For example, like Vietnam, they said 70% foreigners, you can buy up to 70% of a development project. Whereas in Cambodia, you can buy up to 70% in a building. So, it's just slight difference, but there's some nuances there, but very similar.
Okay, good. The other questions, talking about the price range for condos in Cambodia, what are the price range?
Very good. I'm currently working on a project right now, and I can share that with you. It's a very first smart home project in Cambodia, and it's like right in downtown Phnom Penh. And I'm just going to bring this up so you can have an idea of the price point. So this is considered like luxury, and the price range starts at like one room efficiency is like about $80,000 US, and then you go up to like $5 million US for a penthouse. But this project is huge. It has over 1,400 units. They have efficiency. They have 1 bedrooms. They have 2 bedrooms. The 1 bedroom units, the efficiency, I think the size is around 40 square meters. So it's not very big. And then the 1 bedroom is a little bit bigger, and the cost for that is about $130,000. And then the 2 bedrooms can go up to about $200,000. But these are, turnkey condos. So with that money, you can just pay, and then you can get into that. And the payment process for them usually, a lot of people ask that too, is 30% deposit down. And then after that, every quarter, you pay 6% up to like 30 years. I'm sorry, 30 months. So with that, you pay 6% every quarter. So they make it so it's easier for you to meet, the cash payment to make these payments for these condos purchased.
And during the transaction, what are the costs were involved with the real estate transaction in Cambodia?
Legal fees, like I said, anything that you do there, to me, the first thing, the smartest thing you can do when you purchase real estate in Cambodia is get yourself a good real estate attorney. And of course, if you have somebody who does a real estate in Cambodia that you trust, then work up with that real estate agent. And I highly recommend the International Realtor members in Cambodia. Connect with them, and they can guide you through the process. But you will have like legal fees. You have some of the other fees locally, but there's fees for the seller, and there's also fees for the buyers. So for the buyers, you have legal fees, and that's usually ranges about 0.2 to 0.5%. And then there's some of the other fees is also about the same 0.2 to 0.5%. So for a buyer, it's about 0.4% to 1%. And then on the seller side, then they have to pay for the legal fees on their part, which is also 0.2% to 0.5%. And then they pay for real estate agents' fees. and all of that is negotiable. But you know, they heard, I guess, from what we're doing here in the U.S., so they kind of stuck with the 3%. But that just varies, and it's negotiable. And the transfer tax, of course, is 4%. And like I said earlier, even though it says that it's 4%, but then in reality, people in Cambodia pays 1.5 to 2%. And as a matter of fact, most of them don't even pay it. They get away with it. So the other seller's fee is another about 7.2 to 7.5%. So total for the transaction is about 7.4 to 8% roughly.
So buyer will have their own broker's fee to pay, and seller will
No,
have.
buyers don't pay for that. As a matter of fact, seller pays for all of that. So it's like here, the seller pays for the buyer's agent fee, right?
Okay.
Buyer rep fee, not the not the buyer.
Okay, similar to this.
Yeah, they kind of mirror as much as possible to our system, and it's quite interesting to see a lot of that similarity, or they try to, as a matter of fact.
Is there a property tax like us that they have to be paid in Cambodia?
It's what they do there is mainly the transfer tax fee is what they're paying there. I think there is a fee, I think about, I have to get back with you on that. I don't want to quote and give you the wrong number. I forgot exactly what that is.
Okay. Without that, that's all the questions we have. Akun, did I pronounce that right? Thank
Akun,
you.
that's right. You go like this, Akun.
Akun. So this will conclude our questions for today. And now we will go into the lucky drawing. Pauline, go ahead, you can have the floor.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Sean. And thank you, Liu. Give us so beautiful, wonderful, and fabulous.
Oh, thank you.
Last time we learned Xin Chao from you. So today we learned another word in Cambodia. What about our deal? We go visit. We visit Cambodia and Vietnam.
Let's do it. How about a trade mission?
Yes, we do
Yeah.
that.
All right, let's plan on it. I'd be happy to assist in any way that I can.
Yes, yes. And then besides we going to the lucky draw, would you like to let us know if we go to Cambodia, what is the best sightseeing places? You can one or two.
You got to find the best sightseeing, and then most importantly is where to eat. And then more important is where to shop.
Okay.
Right? I can connect you to all of those places. But honestly, I mean, I love Phnom Penh. It's a very busy city. You've been to Ho Chi Minh City. It's very similar. It's hustling, bustling. But everybody know Cambodia for Siem Reap. So Siem Reap is a place you definitely want to check out. It's one of the 7 wonders of the world. So if you're going to do a trip to Cambodia, do not miss that. And you don't need a whole lot of time. Maybe 2 days. You know, if you have more time, then you can relax and, you know, go early in the morning or go in the late evening to see, you know, Angkor Wat and all that way. It's a little bit cooler. Otherwise, it's really, really hot. And then you can also go to Sihanoukville. They have beautiful beaches there. I haven't been back, so I don't know with all this development how that has changed. But they do have surprisingly a lot of beautiful, not a lot, but certain parts of Cambodia, southern part, it's beautiful beaches there. So to me, if you're going to go there for the first time, you're not going to have time to go to everywhere, at least those 3 locations.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, thank you so much again. So right now, entering into our happy hour right now, Lucky Draw. And we want to thank our great sponsor, Cho Lam and Teresa Nguyen from Long Direct for their generosity give us a Lucky Draw gift card today. We wish you are the lucky winners. Teresa, come out. We need you.
Thank you, Pauline. Hi, Hi, everyone. I'm Teresa Nguyen from Loan Direct. Loan Direct is a national lender for both residential and commercial. We specialize in hard-to-place loans such as stated income, foreign national, and credit problems. We have offices in California, Texas, and soon to be in Florida. You can visit us at our website, www.loandirect.us. Thank you, and let's spin the wheel. Let's see who's the lucky winner.
Yes.
While we're spinning, somebody asked me about the property tax. I looked it up. It's 0.1%, so it's very minimal.
Yes.
Francis Huang.
Francis.
Awesome.
Francis.
Want to say congratulations because this is the second time Francis get a
Oh,
prize.
wow.
We don't want you to donate. Congratulations,
You're
Francis.
lucky,
We'll spin the
man.
next one.
Oh,
Mr.
wow.
Mel Wong, are you here? Do you want to unmute or you want to send into the chat box say you are here? Mr. Mel Wong, can we see you? Where? Mel. Mr. Mel Wong?
Mel, unmute yourself. You're muted.
Or you just text into the chat box. Say, I'm here. How do we do? Mel is not here. I'm so sorry. 1, 2, 3. Let's draw. Okay.
Sorry, Mel.
Sorry, Mel.
I love that spinning wheel.
Thomas Wong. Thomas, I know you are here. Thomas, you want to say you are here or you want to text into the chat box? Thomas Wong. Thomas is also our member of GBC. Did you see?
Yes.
Hi, Pauline.
Yes, he's
Pauline.
Hey, Thomas.
I guess that's supposed to be Mel's gift. It turned out to be.
You guys split it, okay? I don't know how do you handle it. Congratulations, Francis Wong and Thomas Wong. Thank you so much. You're two lucky winner today. Thank you so much again for Teresa and Joe Lam for your generosity. Now back to you, Alex.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. And I'm glad that we have a couple of winners today. And on behalf of the Western Gabriel Valley Realtor, we would like to thank Ms. Lieu Nguyen for your informative presentation and our sponsor of Joe Lam and Teresa Nguyen of Loan Direct for the generous gift. Please remember to join our next event. It will be on September 4 at 11 a.m. also Pacific time. It's going to be in Canada, and the speaker will be Sharon von Schunsberg. The whole session is being recorded and will be available on our YouTube channel at the Western Gabriel Valley Realtors. Thank you all for joining our session today. This session is now adjourned, and stay safe, stay healthy, and see you on September 4th. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Thank you,
Wonderful
Teresa, for
section.
sponsoring.
Welcome.
So much. And thank you, Liu.
Teresa, I have some questions for you. Maybe we can connect offline.